Hi everybody, I'm coming on today to share how to break up a puer cake properly and using a puer knife. This month with the Puer Club, we're sending out a puer knife as a gift, and a lot of folks have been asking us, well, how do I use it and how do I properly break up a cake? Breaking up a puer cake is part technique and part mindfulness, and when you do it well, it really preserves the leaf integrity and it also honors the tea. You know, a lot of our nice puer teas, especially aged puers, come in cake form, and so here's a step-by-step approach to breaking it up. The first one, step one, is to prepare the space. So this has to do with surface, lighting, and posture. Um, the surface, you can use a tea tray like this wood tea tray. I like it because it has these raised walls on the side which catches any leaves. You could also use a wooden board like this, like a small cutting board, but you don't want to use something that would have oils or something from food, so just use it for tea. You could also use a folded tablecloth or something that can catch your leaves so you're not losing them. The second one is lighting. You want good lighting, which helps you to see the layers in the puer cake of compression and where to insert the knife. And the third is posture. You want to sit steady and relax. You don't want to rush through breaking up a puer cake because many times I've seen people cut themselves or they'll break the leaves and really damage the tea. So the second step is to examine the cake. You want to find the grain. So in the side of the cake, you'll see where the leaves are compressed along the edges. And puer cakes are layered. It's not random. So you can always find what I call a chink in the armor or a spot where the leaves are a bit looser. And the best spot's usually along the edge and it's not in the flat surface. So you're going to be cutting into the horizontal side of the cake. And you want to avoid the center hole, which is where the wrapper gets folded into the cake. Oftentimes people want to cut into the center of the cake, but when you do that, you might snap the leaves and you can break the cake and break the leaves. The third step is to hold the cake securely. So I like to push it down and hold it securely. And I lay the cake flat on the palm or on the tray. And then I keep my non-knife hand behind the blade. So you're always cutting in a way that you're not going to be cutting and missing the cake, which happens into your hand. Stability rather is more important than force with cutting a puer cake. The fourth is to insert the puer knife. Generally, I like to use bone knives instead of metal. With tea, we generally avoid metal. Most things are made out of clay or earthenware. And a good bone knife, you could go to a shop and get like antler horns, or rather the antlers or horns, sorry. And you could carve it yourself, or you can use the puer knife that's going out with the Puer Club. And you want to slide the knife horizontally into a spot in the cake where you see that the leaves are less compressed. You want to insert it about 1 inch or as far in as it will naturally go. And often you don't want to stab straight down like I'm doing right now. You want to actually go at an angle so that you don't end up cutting too far. And you want to kind of just whittle it in, sliding in between like it's the pages of a book. See, and the layers will just naturally separate. You want to gently pry the cake loose. You let the compression come apart naturally and you'll see that it starts to come off in these layers. If the cake starts to resist, you don't want to force it. Just remove the knife and find a new angle or a new spot in the cake. You want to work in sections throughout the cake, so when you find one section that releases easily, you're going to then kind of continue to move around the cake until you find another good spot. You want to shoot to take chunks off that are roughly the size you need, like 5 to 8 grams if you're brewing gung fu. And so, when you find a nice sized chunk, like I'll probably brew just about that much for this session that I'm about to have. Once you've loosened it, you use your fingers to gently tease the leaves apart. And this will preserve the long whole leaves and improve the infusion quality throughout the session. And then the final step is to store the remaining cake properly. So I'll do another video on how to wrap a puer cake properly. But you really want to place the cake in a wrapper, or if you break the whole cake up, if you're going to drink it within a year, say, Store it in a breathable, odor-free environment that's away from heat and light. A jar is nice, and you could put a little cloth over and then put the lid on top. Some common mistakes to avoid when you're breaking up a puer cake are forcing the knife straight down and cutting through the whole cake. 2 is breaking the chunks off violently and breaking all the leaves. The 3rd is crushing the leaves into dust. Of course, if your tea is in a dust form, it's going to release all the oils and tannins and be a very strong and probably bitter tea. And the 4th, and maybe most important, is not cutting towards your hand so you don't slice into a finger. Bloody tea is not the most pleasant. So I hope that's helpful. And of course, please reach out with any questions, and we'll make some more videos unwrapping the label here soon. Hope you're enjoying your tea, and this month's Puer Club tea is phenomenal. We'd love to hear how everybody's enjoying the Puer Club. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.